Hello, hello, Dr. Brett Spradlin here at Divine Design, Natural Health in the heart, in the hub of Cleveland, Tennessee. And we are discussing tonight a little special update called Darkness to Light. This is an extension of parts 1 through 9 that we did all of last year. Darkness to Light, Exposing the Lies. We're going to call this part 10 because it comes after part 9. How you like that? And what kind of crowd do we have here tonight? You're correct. It is a crazy crowd. Now everybody has notes and everything because we're going to fly through a lot of things tonight, as we usually do. Everybody gets their money's worth when they come to these puppies because we flash through a ton of stuff that you're likely never going to see anywhere else. Now, why are we doing this? Good question. Because I get stuff like this in my email, and we get phone calls on the regular nowadays with people flipping out. Here's this situation with one person, one patient, and I want to read this to you. I'll fly through it. My sister Allie, her husband David, started feeling under the weather about 17 days ago. So this was around about August 27th. Mom and I didn't pay too much attention to it until Allie started saying they needed help. She couldn't take care of David and herself. So this is a patient. It's her sister and then her brother-in-law, and the sister could not take care of herself and the brother-in-law at the same time. They started feeling sick. Why are we talking about this? I'm going to walk you through their whole thing that they went through just within the last few days. The person who sent this in said, I picked up a bunch of things, went over to talk to him, give him some immune boosting, some supplements, told him what to do. She said, we didn't know it yet, but it was too late. David wasn't being truthful with us and how he was actually feeling, right, guys? Mom and I took turns going over and giving him all the natural things that we'd bought. However, he chose to take Mucinex, Pedialyte, and anti-diarrhea medication. By the time Mom and I came along to do all the things that we were supposed to do hourly, his fever stayed, blah, 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 a bunch of details. We knew he had to get up and move. We knew he had to get up and move, and he needed to eat real food because he wasn't. In the meantime, he was hiding the fact that he also quit his CPAP machine, cold turkey. He was hiding the fact, guys, he was spitting up blood, and he hadn't pooped since he took the anti-diarrhea medications. Does this sound familiar to anyone's family, the guys in their family? So this is just an illustration of how quickly things can go south. So he hadn't pooped. He hadn't pooped. I just want to make sure y'all heard that. However, the damage had already been done, so off he went to the hospital to get the diagnosis of, what was the diagnosis? Anyone in this room want to guess? COVID. Wrong. COVID with double pneumonia. He immediately went, count with me, on oxygen, antibiotics, and steroids. Then they gave him a CAT scan for blood clots that he did not have, but they went ahead and gave him a precautionary blood clot medication anyway. Precautionary blood clot medication. He was admitted immediately and stayed in an ER for 3 days. Oh, and let's not forget the blood pressure medication they started giving him too. So now there's 5 meds, along with oxygen. 1 trip to the doctor's office, 1 trip to the ER. This is you, your friends, your family. We are in a medical death cult that you are starting to finally be able to recognize and see with your own eyes. We're trying to save your lives. That's why we're doing this. The next morning, the cardiologist came in and said he was only using 15% of his heart and he will never recover. I have a whole series of classes called Lies Doctors Tell. That little sentence right there makes me reminisce about all the lies they tell. It was a blessing for my sister that he got to stay in the ER because she could still see him. Reluctantly, they let her in, but nurses in the hospital policies change daily and with each nurse. The annoying part is most of the nurses and doctors told my sister that patients do better with a loved one there. Imagine that. But wait, hold on, there's more. We're not out of the woods yet. Sadly, he got moved to ICU on Saturday. We were all encouraged because the ENT said he was the ear, nose, and throat doctor, said he was doing so well, they were going to move him to a regular room on Monday. Well, Sunday morning, we woke up to the message his nose is bleeding, and they can't get it to stop. Imagine that. So they put him on a blood pressure a blood thinner medication, and you're forcing oxygen into his lungs, and then you're wondering why you can't get the blood to stop gushing out of his nose. You see where we're going with this? So here comes the surgery. You've already got 5 or 6 meds. Here comes the surgery. 3 bags of platelets later, they decided to do surgery to cauterize the nose. A simple bloody nose becomes a surgical intervention. This is what we hear on a daily basis. Now you know why I'm pissed. Now you know why we're talking about this tonight instead of diseases that don't exist, because you and your friends and your family, well, I never go to the doctor. Yeah, you don't, but your aunts and uncles do. Okay, they're being murdered. You okay with that? Here goes. They wanted to move him to Chattanooga. However, there were or are 0 beds because, of course, the hospitals are just, overwhelmed with ivermectin overdoses. That's a little joke we'll get to later. So that brings us to today. He's currently on a ventilator. Sound familiar? And they had to put him on a different blood pressure medication. So medication number 7. This is your health care. This is welcome to America, okay? This is what your insurance pays for. Your insurance pays to kill you. Because now his blood pressure isn't high enough. See, he was on a blood pressure medication to lower it. Now he's on a blood pressure medication to pump it up. So he's, of course, stable in quotes, but oh my word, the nonsense of the medical field is retarded. I know I miss details because it's been so much of exactly what Dr. Spradlin's been preaching. I've been preaching this for 1.5 years. Since March 13th of last year when this nonsense dropped, I've been preaching and telling you what's been happening and also telling you what's going to happen. We're going to blow through it tonight and you're going to be blown away. Blown away. Mom and I have had to bite our tongues more than once. We're not done yet, especially when people continually lie to themselves and say they're so healthy. There are no words for the destruction that the medical field does. Here's the best part. The hospital won't give my sister any info about David because now David did not consent. So being awake on a ventilator means sleep meds, here goes, here's 3 more, sleep meds, pain meds, and calming meds, or all 3. So he's no longer able to communicate or text. So since he did not consent, the wife cannot get any information about the husband who's on the ventilator and cannot communicate because he's drugged out of his mind on sleep meds, pain meds, and calming meds, antipsychotic medications. So welcome to the hospital. Welcome to the COVIDian death cult. Your doctors and your nurses are in on this, and they know it. So what are we going to do about it? Well, we've got some action steps for you later on. Sorry. I mean, a lot of the people who come here are other healthcare professionals who are seeing this happen, and they're walking out of it saying, no, I'm not doing this. So how can people do this? How could doctors do this? Well, we're about to show you. Let's get right into it. This first slide, just a couple of quotes here. In a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. You've all noticed that with the media and with the news and everything. Even the media that cannibalizes itself and says, I've never seen the media, you know what's so interesting in the last few weeks? I've never seen the media go after and demonize a drug before. They've done it twice. They've done it on hydroxychloroquine and they've done it on ivermectin, neither of which I'm a fan. However, it's interesting to watch them eat themselves and say, drugs are the only solution, drugs are the only solution. Oops, unless we have a vaccine. then the drug's no longer a solution. Is it any wonder that people can't discern fact from fiction? Many refute proven examples of factual conspiracy while consuming a steady diet of fictional television programming and media propaganda. I don't know who that guy is. Sounds like he knows what's up. But they're using fake money to promote a fake vaccine for a fake virus during a fake pandemic to cause real death. You can take that to the bank. I'll let you take a picture. Yes, ma'am. So they shut us down off YouTube because we're telling people how to wake up. Sound good? Conspiracy has always existed. How do I know? Right here. Check this out. Psalms 2. Why do the nations rage and the people plot a vain thing? The people, you could also say, conspire a vain thing. When you have 2 groups, good guys, bad guys, and the bad guys are conspiring against the good guys, okay? Plots that are not supposed to be discovered. That you would call a conspiracy. So the kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, this is the Old Testament example. The rulers of the earth, the kings of the earth, go against God. See this? Let us break their bonds in pieces, they say, and cast away their cords from us. He who sits in the heavens shall laugh. The Lord shall hold them in derision. Then he shall speak to them in his wrath and distress them in his deep displeasure. Yet I have set my king on my holy hill of Zion. I will declare the decree. The Lord has said to me, you are my son. Today I have begotten you. Ask of me, and I will give you the nations for your inheritance and the ends of the earth for your possession. You shall break them with a rod of iron. You shall dash them to pieces like a potter's vessel. Now, therefore, be wise, O kings, be instructed, you judges of the earth. Serve the Lord with fear and rejoice with trembling. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry, and you perish in the way when his wrath is kindled but a little. Blessed are those who put their trust in him. So in the Old Testament, David's writing this and saying, yeah, there are people, there are conspirators. There are people who are plotting against God. They always have, and they always will. Here's a New Testament example. Check this out. Now, I want you to remember this because we're going to discuss a little letter written by somebody later on at the end of this, and I want you to remember this passage. You're going to see it again. This is Paul talking in the book of Acts. And being let go, they went to their own companions and reported all that the chief priests and elders had said to them. So when they heard that, they raised their voice to God with one accord and said, Lord, you are God who made heaven and earth and the sea and all that is in them, who by the mouth of your servant David, the last scripture we saw was Psalm 2, has said, why did the nations rage and the people plot vain things? Sound familiar? Kings of the earth took their stand, and the rulers were gathered together against the Lord and against his Christ. For truly against your holy servant Jesus, whom you anointed, both Herod and Pontius Pilate with the Gentiles and the people of Israel were gathered together to do whatever your hand and your purpose determined before to be done. Now, Lord, look on their threats and grant to your servants with all boldness they may speak your word by stretching out your hand to heal, and that signs and wonders may be done through the name of your holy servant Jesus. When they had prayed, the place where they were assembled together was shaken, and they were all filled with the Holy Spirit, and they spoke the word of God with boldness. Why do you think, what was going on here? They raised their voice to God with one accord. What was happening in the New Testament church? What was happening in the book of Acts? Were people laying down, or were people standing up against a corrupt religious and political system and preaching against it? What was happening in the New Testament? Let me think. Why did all of the patriarchs, and Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Moses, Daniel, all of the Old Testament major and minor prophets, along with all of Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Paul, Peter, James, all of the apostles in the New Testament, what did they all have in common? What did they preach against? Political, government corruption, and religious corruption, right? So here is Paul quoting David from the Psalms in the New Testament. So we've got an Old Testament example and a New Testament example that there are bad people and that there are conspirators and that there are plots, right? So take your conspiracy theory and shove it. It's conspiracy fact. And here we're going to prove it to you. So the agenda. Let's go on a little thought experiment here. Here's the agenda for tonight. We're going to go through a thought experiment. I wrote this thing out. I want you to hear this. Then we're going to do some recent clinical observations, all the things we're noticing from people, all the things we're hearing. Current events, things that you probably have not heard yet. The transhumanist and depopulation and abortion agenda. Yeah, we're going to tie into that because it's all interrelated. We're going to answer the question that you've all heard so many times. Would Jesus wear a mask? We're going to answer that question, and we're going to show you how to answer this. We're going to show you what the problem is. What is the main problem with even that question? We'll show you. And then we're going to give you some practical action steps at the very end. Okay, so why do we do this? We do this to educate and inform. Why do we do this? That thing I just read you right here, that's why we do that. Because she's a patient. She does well. She and her mother, patients. Her mother and her sister-in-law, all patients. A different sister-in-law, all patients. They're great. They're doing really well. They haven't been sick, but their family members who might not know what they know, they're still eating crap and drinking crap and still taking drugs, the Pedialyte and the Mucinex and all this other stuff. If you're in a bad situation and you take crappy drugs or you eat crappy food, what's going to happen to you? Well, you could, win an amazing trip to the hospital with 9 drugs and a surgery, just like that guy. So we're trying to keep you out of that whole kit and caboodle. We do this to preach against corruption in healthcare, media, politics, religion. We've already been shut off YouTube. I love it. It's a badge of honor. We'll continue it. To save lives and to save you heartache, we do it to encourage you to pick one of two sides. There is a side of light and there is a side of darkness. That's why we called this thing. Back in a year and a half ago, we've been preaching on this, darkness to light. because we're taking people out of darkness, putting them in light. And the only way to do that is to expose the darkness. We're doing it to fulfill our calling, and we're doing it to affect eternally all of your destinies. So go on a little thought experiment with me, if you will. Cue that thing up there, Jonathan. I wrote this out. I'm going to read it for you. Let's just, it's a long thing. I'm going to read it. However, this very first sentence, I want you to keep this in your craw, just the very first sentence. The rest of it is pretty much what's going on now. Years ago, scientists unearthed DNA from transhuman hybrids that many know to be discussed in the Bible. Just sit on that one for a minute. They formulate a plot to deceive mankind in merging with the hybrid, thereby releasing transhuman hybrid manifestation through human blood. You can fill in the blanks on the transhuman hybrid, if you know what I mean. Disseminating that idea through decades of media programming and motion pictures, they present transhumanism as mankind's only salvation, merging with machines and perhaps even altering human DNA to become more advanced, they say. In essence, being made in the image of God must be willfully surrendered in order to be made in the image of a beast. Next. These scientists knew that some would view altering their human genetic structure as very unacceptable, so they devised a plan to present the solution in the form of a life-threatening pandemic that could only be prevented by a vaccine, given in multiple doses over many months. The ominous ingredients of the vaccine must be hidden, perhaps by labeling such as a spike protein or some other semblance of manufactured viral particles. The transition would be imperceptible, and adverse reactions would be confused by multiple vaccines from multiple manufacturers, dispensed liberally throughout the nations and interspersed with harmless saline solution injections for celebrities and media influencers so as to avoid any immediate public reactions to subsequent vaccine-induced obvious conditions. Now, I want you to think about this for a second before we move on to this next slide. If they are trying to alter human DNA, the question that no one's asking, and I don't understand why, they're stuck on this spike protein thing. They're stuck on this spike protein, graphene oxide. Here's the deal. What if it's not a spike protein? That's what they told you it is. That's what they told you it is. Have they ever told the truth? So you got people worried about spike proteins and graphene oxide and all this other nonsense. What if it's not a spike protein? What if it's DNA from a transhuman hybrid? Who knows? It's my philosophy. That's my thought. That's my philosophy. That's my theory on the whole thing. That's why that first sentence, I just said, sit on that for a minute. But here's the question nobody's asking. If they're trying to change your DNA, what are they trying to change it into? Just think about that. No one's asking that question. I will. So the contents of the vaccine are not to be divulged. Media sources announce compulsory vaccinations on the heels of worldwide shutdowns in fear of touching others. People willfully lock themselves in their own homes only to consume more media propaganda denouncing all common sense, logic, and critical thought. You've all seen that. The only option offered by hospitals and medical workers is a newly designed mRNA vaccine, despite tens of thousands of available drugs already used for decades. I've never seen this. Those who speak against the official narrative are criticized, silenced, and labeled as domestic terrorists. Millions line up for the shot. Deaths are mislabeled. Statistics are faked. Pharmacists receive blank product monographs with the shipments of vaccines. You've seen this, have you not? Health departments receive no information about the contents of the vaccine and proceed to alternate manufacturers weekly. This week Pfizer, this week Moderna, this week, or as shipments randomly dictate. Faulty tests blanket the world, convincing healthy people that they're asymptomatic carriers. Whole nations bow their knee to government rather than God. Some vaccine recipients report to hospitals with neurological or cardiac conditions, while others have skin falling from their bodies. Sound like a scripture from Revelation? Anyone? The diagnosis is always the same and later moves to be called a variant. Many notice that magnets stick to the injection site. You think this is fiction, don't you? Until you realize this is really happening. Due to magnetic nanoparticles discovered within the vaccine, others notice veins that glow under a blacklight or ultraviolet bulb. You'll see that later. Evidence surfaces online of ominously numbered patents regarding luminescent enzyme technology and self-assembly of nanoparticles, which can be controlled by certain frequencies of electromagnetic radiation now widely available through the use of cell phones. Wow. The vaccine contents spread through the sweat and the breath of the vaccinated to their unvaccinated counterparts, rendering them sick and susceptible to a diagnosis that drives them to also receive the shot in hopes of avoiding impending sickness. Hospitals receive bonus compensation for using certain protocols proven to produce casualties. What did I just read you? And immunity is granted to those institutions, those hospitals, that follow the official government-sponsored protocols. Many question, how could doctors do this? Here's the answer. They're no longer fully human doctors. Next, if you understand what I mean. Who got the shot first? Doctors, nurses, healthcare workers were the first to receive the transhuman hybrid shot and are now under the spell dreamt up by the governing elite who are hard at work ushering in a new level of transhuman hybrids made in the image of the beast, no longer operating in the image of God. You don't need portals. You don't need wormholes. You don't need trans-dimensional stargates any longer. They're no longer necessary for transhuman hybrid manifestation if millions willfully open their bodies to the entrance of manipulation in the name of government safety. So the blood covenant between humans and transhuman hybrids has now been established. Wow. Welcome to 2021. Next. Booster shots, of course, are produced quickly to make their recipients less and less human. Rage, confusion, hate, regular out-of-control car accidents happening all over result from decades of lies and manipulation. The vaccines produced with aborted human DNA and transhuman hybrid DNA are now intermingled with human blood in an open ritual to transform man into beast, image of God into image of Satan, sovereign worship into pagan idolatry in the name of government security against a pathogen that still, to this day, we have preached this for 1.5 years, has never been isolated in any laboratory in the world. Despite what you hear on CNN. All right. And on that note, Miss Lauren. Welcome, everybody, welcome Lauren up to the stage here.
I just want to introduce myself real quick. My name's Lauren. I'm a new clinical assistant here. A little bit about me. I became a patient here back in April after being sick of going to the doctors and not getting answers for any of my symptoms and them just wanting to give me a pill for everything. And just after weeks of being a patient here, I started healing from symptoms I thought I was going to have to live with the rest of my life. So as soon as that started happening, I was like, okay, I got to get in on this. I need to, join here, work here, whatever. I come from a healthcare background. So I was like, okay, what can I do? So this is now my 3rd week here. And I honestly just feel so blessed that I get to work in an environment like this. So. Okay, so, wow. Yeah. Got a round of applause right there. Yeah. Okay, so this is one of our newer patients. She's been here about 3 weeks. She said, before being a patient, I would find myself wanting to read, but I physically couldn't. I couldn't understand a sentence or a paragraph without reading it over and over again to understand it. My focus wouldn't stay longer than a couple of minutes until I would finally give up and close the book. After starting my first few weeks here and receiving the weekly homework along with my supplements and health instructions, I found myself reading without stopping and loving every second of it. My focus and understanding shocked me. I finally finished my first book cover to cover in years. I mean, that's pretty crazy. I couldn't imagine not being able to read and finish a book in years, so that's awesome.
Yay, good job, Lauren. Yeah, when you think about people who aren't living up to their potential, we say often that it's hard for people to be fully living who God wants them to be if they're indoctrinated, vaccinated, medicated, food sedated, fluoridated, all of the ways that they're trying to chemically lobotomize you. So if we can remove some of those ways and rebuild people's lives, their neurotransmitters, their hormones, their bodies, their organs, guess what? They can read a book. Nice, huh? You might be able to have a conversation with that person. Okay. Well, let's look at this. Okay, yeah, we've got some memes. I always say, meme what you say what you meme. Check that out. Have we flattened the curve yet? It's a circle now, brother. This is one of the best. This is one of the best. Did you send this? Oh, my goodness. Check this out. I'm going to read it because I know that's hard for you to read from the back. This is Bill Gates Anthony Fauci. The two names who you can't mention. I just did. There's a 99% chance your car will run fine, but we recommend you service it with an experimental oil that may destroy the engine. Nothing is wrong with your car, but do it anyway so others feel better about servicing their cars. That's the logic. That's how insane that sounds. Benjamin Franklin, those that give up freedom for safety deserve neither. Demon-possessed fake president, this is not about freedom, this is for your safety. Wow. Compare the two. Demon-possessed, right there. Now, you won't be able to see this, but this is hilarious. Trust me. Can you still get regular sick, or is everything corona? This is great. COVID symptoms, and this is the deep state health system here. Know the symptoms of coronavirus: headache, fever, dry cough, chills, fatigue, congestion, runny nose, diarrhea, dandruff, itches, diaper rash, poison ivy, frostbite, trench foot, unemployment, bankruptcy, business failure, tax forfeiture, foot fungus, bad hair day, syphilis, astigmatism, welfare, domestic violence, poor gas mileage, Karenitis, high utility bills. I mean, that's classic. Who sent us that? Did somebody send us that? I think Nadia might have found that. COVID symptoms. Isn't that great? Just tested positive for sovereignty. Symptoms include critical thinking, bodily autonomy, meaning don't put crap in my veins, speaking your truth, the gift of discernment, hallelujah, standing up against tyranny, hallelujah, advocating for your children, and socially distancing from the system. Socially distancing from the system. All right. So here's some recent observations. Here we go. Well, first of all, write this number down. 5, 4, 5. You're never going to forget this. Oh, Lauren, can we grab a towel? Like just some dirty towels.
Sorry, it's just water.
Yeah, that's fine. So as of today, September 13th, remember this nonsense, demonic crap started March 13th, roundabout, a year and a half ago. You are 1.5 years, that's 545 days, into 14 days to slow the spread. You remember that crap? 14 days in. Sister, you're 545 days in. And it ain't getting easier and it ain't going away. They lied. They haven't stopped lying about the masks, about the vaccines, about the social distancing, about the mandates, about the lockdowns. Stand your ground and do not buckle to this nonsense. Stand your ground. It has been 545 days. You got to lose your job? Guess what? Time to get a new job. Hallelujah. God will take care of you. What are you worried about? Who is your God? The government or him? Who is your God? Thank you, darling. Haha, there we go. I'll let you take care of that. Recent observations. Here we go. I have heard of more deaths in the last 9 months, not in the last year, than in my entire cumulative life or clinical experience of nearly 8 years. All these reports of these deaths started January 2021, not March of 2020. Do the math on that. I speak to a lot of doctors, and guess what? They all say the same thing. We're all noticing it. Nobody started dying March of 2020. They all started dying January of 2021. Several patients who are federal employees have become concerned about recent events. We'll talk more about that here in a minute, but these are just recent observations, recent things we hear in the clinic. Our phones have been ringing off the hook with Googlers looking for ivermectin and other people looking for vaccine exemption letters. If you haven't got this crap figured out by now, calling a natural health office last week is probably not going to work out for you. If you haven't been looking around the last 545 days, now might be a little late. So, and the thing about this one, Jonathan, before we go forward on that one, the thing about this is ivermectin, nobody knew what that was until the media started talking about it. None of you have ever had an ivermectin deficiency. None of you. So the media starts talking about it. They start downplaying it. They start telling you it's for horses. Here's the deal. The molecule is the molecule, whether it is a horse medication or whether it is a human medication. It doesn't matter. The molecule of ivermectin is the molecule of ivermectin is the molecule of ivermectin. They can make you afraid of it all they want. But for the first time ever, you're seeing the media turn on a drug. That should tell you something immediately. When you're seeing the demon-infested, drug-loving media turn on a drug to get you not to take it? Interesting. Many of you probably heard of the Oklahoma hospital that, there's in the media, Rolling Stone ran with this big thing where this Oklahoma hospital said that a doctor that worked at this Oklahoma hospital said, we've been turning away gunshot victims because of ivermectin overdoses. Well, it was a fake story, of course, and so one of the administrators of the hospital wrote this scathing letter. It was beautiful, and it said, we have not turned away any patients of gunshots, and no, we do not have an ivermectin overdose. It was a fake story. The media was trying to get people scared of a drug. Now, here's the deal. It's still a drug. Is it if you're on your deathbed, you can't breathe, okay, maybe take it. But don't be running to the pharmacy trying to get your ivermectin, okay? Just don't. It's stupid. It's a drug. It's from the same companies you're trying to avoid. You don't want the shot from the drug company, so you go get a pill from the drug company? Let's evaluate that logic. Let's just think about it. So, all right, exemption letters. Here we go. And fake vaccine cards will only last for a short time. Understand this. All you people calling us for exemption letters, we don't know who you are. You've never been a patient here. I ain't writing you a letter, putting my name on something. No way. Why? Because it's a trap. What do you think? All these doctors writing prescriptions for ivermectin? What's going to happen to them? The one pharmacy in Las Vegas, Nevada that's filling ivermectin prescriptions, how long do you think that's going to last? I don't know. Maybe call a veterinarian. That might be a good idea. Get your horse dewormer. That'd be good. So soon the proof of your vaccination status will be immediately visible because people are faking the cards and things like that. I'm not saying don't fake a card. I'm saying go for it. I'm saying do whatever you got to do. But just know that that's going away. Okay? Don't spend a bunch of money on a fake card or exemption letters. Lately, parents have been contemplating pulling their kids out of public school in favor of homeschooling. I think that's a great idea. I almost am jealous of homeschoolers because of what they've learned. More observations, certain churches and entire denominations have become vaccine delivery sites, making many question their loyalty to God or government. That's very disheartening. I've read and heard countless completely biblically illiterate Christians support lockdowns, masks, and vaccines. Saddens me greatly. You'll see why later on. And that's one of the reasons why we're having this class, so that you can see what people are thinking and see how ludicrous and illogical it is. And you can have some ammo against it. Many have been shocked when their kids, their husbands, their parents, their close relatives willingly took the shot for purposes of travel or employment. I'm not kidding you. I've got husbands and wives that live in the same house, under the same roof. The wife doesn't want it. The husband goes to get it. What happens in the house? Bad stuff. Bad stuff. Everything has a frequency and a wavelength to it. So you think that there's not going to be in a crazy shot that has electromagnetic nanoparticles designed in a laboratory by people who love to worship demons? You think that's not going to have a frequency and a wavelength to it? It's unbelievable. Mother has a couple daughters. They both got vaccinated. I have a mom whose son is a pastor and says, Mom, promise me you'll get the shot. Her daughter is a nurse and says, Mom, promise me that you won't get the shot. I'll say that again. The son works for a church and is saying, Mom, you got to get the shot. Her daughter is a nurse and says, Mom, don't you dare get that shot. See the dichotomy of that? Isn't that crazy? So can you save yourself a whole lot of heartache by talking about the heavy stuff up front and getting this out? Yeah, if you haven't done it in a year and a half with all the crap we've been throwing out of here, every Monday, every other Monday, we taught classes on what was happening. Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, 4. 3 and 4 have to do with the satanic ritual that involves mask wearing and social distancing and walking 6 feet apart. I'll just go ahead and tell you. The 3rd and the 4th episodes of Darkness to Light, Part 3 and 4, those were the satanic rituals. Here's what we're engaged in. That was what, June, July? Part 6 is all about vaccines, stuff you'll never hear about vaccines. Darkness to Light, Exposing the Lies, Part 6. If you want to know the episode numbers, I forget. Lauren or Nadia could get you the episode numbers. It's easier to search that way. It's like DDNH number 10 whatever, 112 or whatever it is. But then the other parts are part 1 through 9. Part 9 is a review. Part 9 is like, here's what we learned in the last year. So just keep that in mind. There's been a cosmic shift in opinion rather than truth and feelings over fact in the realms of media, politics, religion, sexuality, and science. The people who are running this whole shenanigan are trying to get you to so confused that you don't know what bathroom to go into. It's unbelievable. We've been indoctrinated to avoid talks on religion and politics, but the very reason that we're in this mess with people locked out of their ways of making money and family turned against family is because they were too pansy to talk about religion and politics. Sorry, but you're here right now, and we're going to talk religion and politics because this is what's going to get us out of this nonsense. You don't believe in religion? Great. The people who are doing this do, and it's not a good one, I can assure you. So we're now seeing the aftermath of all these deletions in our public discourse. We'll have no part in these fallacies. We're going to stand for truth and health and freedom come hell or high water. You know why we have a 6-foot-tall Trump in the front lobby? That's my temperature checker for people that walk in here. I can tell immediately your temperature by how you react to that 6-foot-tall Trump stand-up cutout, and I think it's wonderful. I love it. Thank you. Everybody give Trump a round of applause. Yeah, we've had 4 people that have walked in, maybe 4 that have walked in and made a face. 4 out of thousands. They were all from big cities. Your response is not my responsibility, okay? Many patients value what we do, and they drive from hours away for life-changing care that they receive here. Very few patients have observable contradictory behavior, cat-like reflexes, and those people will be ushered out very shortly. Thank you very much. We don't take your insurance. We use discernment not just for our protection, but for yours, okay? We now screen our prospective patients with more scrutiny. We use, if someone believes in medical salvation and all the media propaganda and all that, they will be a liability to themselves, to us, and to you. And we know out of hundreds of patients here, we only know 1 that got the shot. That should tell you how hard we educate people around here and how much they learn. And only 1 of them got past us and got the shot. Only 1. So that tells you the air in here is pretty clean. Amen? We now, many patients value what we, oh, wait, this is in the wrong order here. Oh, no. I skipped something. I've ignored television since '94. I've never paid for cable in my life, and I've researched and practiced natural health for half of my life. So opinions and fiction, simply, we have no place in here. So I currently I listen to a lot of people. I know people don't have time to take all of this, and you don't have time to listen to hours and hours and hours of video. I'll do that for you, because this is my wheelhouse, this is what I love, this is what I'm into. So I take all this stuff and narrow it down and pull out the good parts and say, here, that's all you need to know. And hundreds, probably thousands of hours I've spent studying this stuff. So I listen to the top pathologists, virologists, immunologists, researchers, scientists, pastors in the world, all talking about the same thing, which is we've all been played, okay? They're on the front lines. So things we need to constantly remind people about. These are recent observations. I mean, all the time. People forget these tiny little details. Here's the tiny details. Your food's poison, your water's poison, your air's poison, the sun's been demonized, and the drugs and shots are bioweapons, okay? The food's been poisoned. Well, GMOs, pesticides, other chemicals. Well, I don't think that the food's that bad. I can eat Chick-fil-A 4 times a week. Yeah, you started that sentence with, I don't think. You just lost me on opinion. The fact of the matter is they're trying to kill you, and you better wake up. Because look at the water. Fluoride, chlorine, pharmaceuticals. Air has been poisoned. Chemtrails, still don't believe those. Look outside. Just look outside. I don't argue with people. Sanitizer. Walk into your church and smell the sanitizer. Go into the bathroom at the rest stop, at the Shell stop too, and see all the stickers of the Lysol that they're spraying on everything. Candles, Lysol, all that crap. The sun's been demonized. You've been told that you're overpopulated. It's those damn humans that are causing all the, it's not the cows farting anymore. It's the humans breathing. So overpopulation is the answer. All the cancer misinformation about sunscreen and stuff like that. That right there, that's a full-time job. It's estimated that 90% of a natural health practitioner's time is spent re-educating people on this stuff right here. It is estimated. We don't spend 90%, but most people, most practices, probably 90% of their time is spent saying, hey, you got to clean up your diet. You got to stop killing yourself. You got to drink some better water. No, we just do it, and we do it a lot faster here. The drugs and shots are weapons. All have side effects. People say, well, should I still take my blood pressure med? I don't care. I don't care what you do. It's up to you. You can decide to poison yourself regularly, or you can decide to feed yourself regularly, because your doctor never told you your high blood pressure was caused by your diet. So if we change your diet, you don't need the drugs. But it's up to you. I'm not laying awake at night wondering if you're taking your pills. But all of them have side effects. Every single one of them, even your ivermectin and your HCQ, they all have side effects. All are toxic. How do I know? Insurance pays for them. Insurance pays for two things, drugs and surgery. And every once in a while, they'll pay for a procedure that leads to drugs or surgery. Period. Can anyone say any other thing that insurance pays for? That's why we don't take insurance. So, moving on. These classes gather data from multiple non-mainstream sources that have been censored constantly. So you're unlikely to find any such information like this on your own if you're unaware of certain sources, websites, platforms. Facebook is all programmed. YouTube is all programmed now. The algorithms know what you watch, what you don't watch. Apple, Google, Facebook, Twitter, they're all compromised. We've been permanently deleted from a couple of things for not following the official narrative. So here, what do I mean by that? Cliff notes to current events. Wait. You guys want to see more of Lauren, don't you? I almost skipped right over a commercial break. Come on up, darling.
Okay, so this is a little bit of a different victory, but this patient's been here for a little over a year and has had great results and had this recent victory. So she said, I told Dr. Spradlin I'd been sleeping terribly and waking up every 20 to 30 minutes all night. He asked if I had slept with my phone on my nightstand, which I do, and then told me to turn off my Wi-Fi and Bluetooth before I went to sleep. I gave it a shot and had the best night's sleep I've ever had in a long time, which I heard about this and then I tried it out and I slept like a baby. So I'd definitely try that out if you have issues sleeping. So
simple fixes. You know, it's that 5G crap that might be keeping you awake. Put your phone on airplane mode. Your alarm will still go off. You'll still wake up. You don't need Bluetooth cramming in your ears all night long while you're sleeping. Here's my favorite, Jen Psaki here. We will begin going door to door, and he says you may want to circle back. Love that. Fight for your freedom like you fought for toilet paper. Remember that? Remember how stupid that was? We all agreed. Wasn't that wonderful? September 7th, 2020, new COVID cases, 25K. Vaccinated Americans, 0. September 7th, a year later, 2021, new COVID cases, 300,000. Vaccinated Americans, 180 million. Me? A year later. We're sitting here a year later going, they all fell for it. 180 million Americans, 200, probably 200 by okay estimates, probably 200 million Americans. Half fell for it. A mandate's not a law, brother. A mandate when 2 or more fellers go out for lunch. Americans on their way to get the COVID jab so they can be healthy. How dare you try to lecture me on health if you don't even take care of your food? How are you? You're allowing your blood and your DNA, your very body, your veins, your cardiovascular system to be poisoned before you will even think about changing your diet. That tells me there's idolatry in your life. That's what that tells me. Why isn't COVID affecting you people? We don't have TV. You know what else they don't have? Autism, cancer, lots of other stuff. Go ask them. Go talk to them. Next. Here we are. Cliff's Notes on current events. Don't believe me? Check out this. This we just cut and pasted right out of a YouTube email, or I think it's right on their new community guidelines. No, YouTube says no prayer. If you're posting content, don't post content on YouTube if it includes any of the following. I am just going to read the highlighted parts. Content that encourages the use of home remedies, prayer, or rituals in place of medical treatments, such as consulting a doctor or going to the hospital. Anything that recommends ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine for the treatment of COVID-19. Anything that claims HCQ is an effective treatment. Let's look at the next one. I'll just read look at this. Prevention misinformation. Don't post this on YouTube or else you'll get banned. Content that promotes prevention methods that contradict local health authorities or the World Health Organization. This is shocking. This is shocking. We got canned from YouTube a couple months ago, but this is new as of like a couple weeks ago. Claims that there are any prevention or anything other than a vaccination, anything Anything that goes against the official narrative. Claims that wearing a mask is dangerous. You can't even say wearing a mask is dangerous. Claims about COVID-19 vaccinations that contradict expert consensus from local health authorities or World Health Organization. Well, I don't know about you, but I know a lot of doctors and local, national, international health authorities that are completely spitting in the face of your nonsense. Claims that approved vaccine will cause death, infertility, miscarriage, autism, or contraction of other infectious diseases. Look what you can't say. You should pay attention to what you can't say, such as claims that the vaccine will contain substances that are not on the vaccine ingredient list, such as you know why? Because there is no vaccine ingredient list. Anything like biological matter from fetuses or animal products. They're trying to say that there are no fetuses in vaccines. I will prove it to you. Claims, you know how I can prove it to you? You can prove it to yourself. There's that book out there on the front table that's like this thick. Those are all the monographs from all the vaccines that published by the pharmaceutical companies that created and manufactured the vaccines. Their own literature says it. Claims that approved vaccine, and I notice I do not say this name in this office. Claims that an approved vaccine will contain substances or devices meant to track or identify those who've received it. Interesting, you can't mention that. Claims that approved vaccine will alter a person's genetic makeup. We are breaking a lot of rules tonight, aren't we? Next. Anything that contradicts local authorities, anything that the tests are dangerous or causes negative physical health effects. Here's a quiz. Where did the virus originate? What country? China. Where are the masks from? China. Where are the tests from? China. Where's the vaccine from? China. Where are the voting machines from? Oh, okay, I got it. Social distancing and self-isolation misinformation. Anything that disputes the efficacy of local health authorities or the WHO's guidance on physical distancing or self-isolation. Anything that denies that that name exists, claims that the symptoms, death rates, or contagiousness are less severe or equally severe as the common cold. Next. I mean, this is YouTube. This is where your kids spend all their time, right here. You know what they're going to see? Nonsense. Now, here's the fun stuff. Right here. Do not say any of this. Content that's not allowed on YouTube claims that that disease is caused by radiation from 5G networks, even though some of the top doctors in this world can show it and prove it. And we talked about it 2 years ago when we did the 5G classes, part 1, 5G and EMFs, and then part 2 was what's the buzz, tell me what's happening. And we told you that when they roll out 5G, you're going to have breathing disorders, respiratory distress, smell and taste are going to go down, and they're going to be able to dial up a frequency and tune in your rheumatoid arthritis within a certain zip code. Turn it up, turn it down. That's what they're doing. But they're telling you right here, don't talk about that. What does that tell you? Videos alleging that the test is the cause of the virus. The vaccine is the virus. Wearing a mask causes oxygen levels to drop. Just ask OSHA about that one. The vaccine will kill people who receive it. Oh, I don't know. You tell me. They killed the VAERS database. Next. Videos claiming that the vaccine will contain fetal tissue. Vaccines are not effective in preventing. Vaccines contain a microchip or tracking device, even though the patents for the vaccine show it to be a tracking device. Funny, huh? Next. That's just one current event. I hope you're taking notes. Next, Facebook is labeled canners, gardeners, preppers. You're now an extremist. Go look this up. HR 6666 is the COVID-19 testing, reaching, contacting everyone act, the Trace Act. Didn't they just say that you can't talk about anything where it's going to be used to track and trace people? It's a House resolution bill. Okay, all right, YouTube. I'm not even going to talk about this demonic, crazy dude, fake installed puppet, but the next one, Biden vaccine mandate laws. I know everybody last Thursday, this blew up. Everybody was blowing up on this. All federal employees, any company with over 100 employees, you've got to stand up. That's all I'm going to say about this. It's tyranny. It's lunacy. It's fake. They can't do it. Hire a lawyer. There are lawyers out there that will represent you. Find somebody. Take your stand. You can keep your job and be dead, or you can live and get another job. It's that simple. What do I do? What do I do? Stand up. Stand up and stop being fearful. Turn off the damn TV. and be faithful instead of fearful. That's what you do. A vaccine was approved. Interesting, though, that's not even available in the U.S., but it's called Comirnaty. How many of you had ever heard of Comirnaty? That's the one that is approved. And guess what? You can't even get it in the United States. You've probably never heard of it, but it's the one that everyone you know thinks they're getting. They tricked you. Hospitals have become murder factories of COVIDian cult members. Hospitals are exempt from damages as long as they follow the National Institute of Health guidelines. It's not that disease that's killing people, it's the hospital protocols. Hospitals are the new concentration camps. Germany lost. The Nazis, however, did not. So they've got the protocols that they follow with the remdesivir, shut down your kidneys, and then your lungs fill up with blood, with fluid, and then you've got COVID double pneumonia, right? And then you stick them on a ventilator and you milk them dry and you get a bunch of money from the government for having all these casualties. Then everybody talks about the hospital being full and then you're on the news, right? So don't get into the hospital. Just don't. Don't go into the hospital. We tell you how to stay out. So if you follow those guidelines, if the hospital follows those guidelines, there's no recourse. They can't be sued if you die. FYI. People don't know that. They follow those National Institute of Health guidelines and there is no recourse. So it's a protocol of death. They go into the hospital and if you get on a ventilator with remdesivir, you're done. Pretty much. I don't want to say that over people, but if they follow these protocols, they're immune to damages. It's in the paperwork. It's in the paperwork. Facebook, Google, Twitter will require their employees to be vaccinated. I had this revelation a little while ago, and I thought, you know what, I might as well put it in this class too. So it's the same people who censored the truth about the shot will be victims of the shot. The big tech employees have for years been building and perfecting artificial intelligence machine learning. So they're now unnecessary to their own posts, to their own companies. So their deaths will be a massive payroll cost savings for the tyrannical oligarchs in power. I thought, why would Facebook, Google, Apple, Amazon, why would all these people poison and kill their own people? Why would they pass mandates to kill their own people? And then I realized they don't need those people anymore because they built the AI that made them themselves obsolete. So they just saved, from a business standpoint, from an entrepreneur standpoint, I'm looking at it going, damn it, that's genius. But from a humanitarian standpoint, from a Christian, I'm going, ooh, that's evil. They just saved a lot of money. But that's bad that they just saved a lot of money because they got rid of a lot of people. Boom. That's why they're doing it. It's not for their safety. The vaccines are indeed safe and effective. They're not lying. The vaccines are safe to them because they're not taking them. The vaccines are effective to them because they're murdering you. So they are safe and effective, just not to you. So they're not lying, technically. See how that works? Next. You're a terrorist if you believe the election was rigged, or if you don't follow unconstitutional mandates, which, by the way, are not laws. We armed a terrorist regime. I won't even talk about this fake puppet nonsense, but we armed a terrorist regime with our own weapons and abandoned Americans while allowing open borders and baby murder. Now, a lot of people, I wonder though, we don't trust the media, we know it's fake news until they run a story about Afghanistan and then we're like, oh yeah, what happened? You know, then we believe everything. Now, I don't know much about the whole Afghanistan thing. I'm not there. I wasn't there. I'm not going to be there. But this right here, it sounds like we screwed ourselves. We shot ourselves in both feet and then said, well, let's run a marathon. So it sounds really, really, really bad. I don't know what's going on, but everybody's believing this nonsense just because it's in the news. But we gave up some bad guys. And we know we lost a lot of American lives over there. So it's screwed up that we just pulled out and just let everything go to hell. Not my thing. We've got our own stuff here in the United States. Let's worry about that first. Your insurance will eventually be discontinued. You do know this is on the horizon, right? Your insurance that you worship, that you love, that you can't live without, that you think you have to have because you got the golden handcuffs, that's going away, honey bunny. It will eventually be discontinued if you refuse the vaccines. Eventually. I don't know how long. Your other thing, you will not receive emergency services if you refuse vaccines in the future. I don't know how long it's going to last, but you're not going to be able to get your teeth cleaned unless you bow your knee to that vaccine. That's where it's going. Unless something massive changes and we wake up and the military comes out from behind the curtains and says, surprise, surprise, who knows? But this is what's on the horizon. And they're going to go after your bank accounts soon. Who was it that told me the bank accounts? Who was that? In Cleveland. The banks are publishing something that says the IRS is going after call your congressman. Does anyone know what I'm talking about?
And I think any account that has more than $600 in it per year is going to be.
Oh. Perfect. Lovely.
Right.
Lovely. Well, I got one word to say to that. Crypto. One word to say to that. Crypto. That's why that exists. Get your money out of the banks. We'll talk about that later. Where are we? Israel is putting forth a fourth vaccine. So one is now considered unvaccinated, even if you have the previous 3. So then, of course, that gives rise to this. People with 4 vaccines will begin to harass those with only 3 vaccines for not believing enough of the science. That's coming. So where does this stop? It doesn't. When's it end? It doesn't. What do we have to do to get out of it? Not comply. Next. Japan shelved 1.6 million Moderna doses due to magnetic components. I mean, you can't make this up. It's all over. It's everywhere. Next. You can't pass this up. Fakey is suggesting booster shots every 5 months, and for the new vaccine to be added to the childhood vaccine schedule as if we did not have enough childhood vaccines. Want to know why your kids are sick? Why your kids are sicker than you? Check out the class we talked about. I don't know what episode it was, but why your kids are sicker than you was just a couple months ago. New York City is requiring vaccine passports for indoor dining. Here's the part you didn't know. The companies behind the software, Microsoft, remember that because we're going to be talking about Bill Gates here in a little while. The World Economic Forum, the people who are telling you you'll own nothing and you'll like it. What's his face who will go unnamed? Non-governmental organizations, Apple and IBM. Those are the companies that built the software to track you. The patents for the track and trace program were created before the patents for the virus and the vaccine. That's interesting, isn't it?
Very.
Did they know it was coming? Oh, you bet your bottom dollar. You bet your bottom dollar. And why are people not talking about this? I don't know. That's why we do what we do. Miscarriages, retardation, unbridled anger are increasing and will continue. Your friends are getting crazy. Your enemies are getting crazier. And you're hearing more sirens. You all know that. Be prepared for the cognitive decline of those around you who receive the experimental transhuman hybrid DNA injection. You may be in line for promotion and a raise when your coworkers succumb to symptoms. By standing your ground, God will bless you. By standing your ground, you may be the only one standing. Next. The global extermination campaign in Australia is underway. You probably haven't heard about this. It's not on mainstream media. Traveling outside of 2 miles from your home is illegal. Medical kidnapping is happening. They had basically a satanic ritual a few weeks ago. 24,000 kids were taken from their parents, and they were all mass vaccinated in the soccer stadium. No flights are coming or going. They're unable to leave. They have no guns. Firing or quitting result in no unemployment. So either way you go, you're hosed. You're screwed. People are having to show vaccine proof in order to go to the grocery stores. This is in Australia, folks. They're an English-speaking nation. You think it's not on its way here if we don't stand up and do something? And we've been preaching our guts out every Monday for 1.5 years to keep people up to date on this. No medical treatment is offered to the unvaccinated. Let that sink in. You thought World War III would be tanks, planes, bombs, and bullets. Bioweaponized injections are much cheaper and will not destroy the environment that the globalist death cult surely plans to exploit upon inheritance. Here's another point I want you to get. Cliff notes on some of the emails and some of the videos and some of the patents that Dr. Fakey had. He admitted what's called gain-of-function research. You know what another name for gain-of-function research is on pathogens? Like, I worked in a microbiology laboratory for a while, so there were people who worked with some heavy-duty stuff, hazmat suits, whole 9 yards. So gain-of-function in a microbiological setting is another word for weaponization. If you're going to do gain-of-function research on a bacteria, or like anthrax, or if you're going to do gain-of-function research on like some kind of particle or some kind of nanotech particle that you dump on enemy troops, gain-of-function is another way of saying weaponization. So when old Fakey did gain-of-function, he's really saying that he designed a bioweapon. The only reason to build a bioweapon is to kill people with genocide. The only reason to disguise it as a vaccine is to deceive people with suicide. I know, it sucks. I hate saying it, but you know what? Your family needs to know this. Your enemies need to know this. The people who argue with you refuse to understand that those who admit gain-of-function research are the same people enforcing compulsory vaccination. The same people who are claiming interest in public health and well-being are calling for the unvaccinated to be cut off from basic human needs, such as the ability to buy food, unless they submit to the government kill shot. So how caring and humanitarian those people are, right? They're saying water, shopping, internet bandwidth, driving, going to outdoor events, going to school, those should all be limited if you're unvaccinated because they're such humanitarians. See the doublespeak there? It's like my body, my choice until you say vaccines, and then it's no, that doesn't apply. It only applies if we're murdering a baby. And on that note, Lauren, come on up and give us some commercial break. Give us a little fun.
Yeah. Okay, so she's been a patient for about 4 months, and she's already had so many victories, but here's another one. She wrote, I had pitting edema for 3 years. I was put on a water pill with no reason why. I realized 2 weeks ago that it was completely gone. I could feel my bone for the first time in 3 years. And I know from talking with her that she didn't even write this down as a symptom when she first came here. This was just happened, and she just realized that she could touch her bone, which is pretty crazy. So not to be able to touch your bone for 3 years, that's pretty amazing. So
yeah. A lot of people are just unable to touch their bones. It's crazy. Next, let's look at memes. Huh. Unbelievable. I'll just let you read that. Yeah. Yep. Thanks. 2 weeks to flatten the curves, now 3 jabs to feed your family. It's going to be 4 and 5 and 6. It will never stop. We said this a year and a half ago. It will never stop. Don't complain about how you can't find new employees if you're firing your current employees over a shot. We are never going to have you wear masks, take shots, or social distance. I can assure you. Wait a minute. So if someone gets 3 jabs and I get none, but then they get COVID and die, it's my fault? Yeah, figure out the math on that one. I love that one. That's great. When you leave your TV on for your dog on a news channel, come home 8 hours later. Oh, Facebook must be censoring liberals now. I haven't seen any posts about what a great job Biden's doing. You know what is fun, though? I'll tell you, you know what? You owe me. You all owe me. Take 20 minutes tonight before you go to bed. Write this down. Go to Joe Biden's Facebook page. Read the comments. Read the comments. It is Pulitzer Prize worthy. It's genius. The people. Oh, I did this months ago. Huh? Oh, it's yeah. I'm not even. I haven't been on Facebook in probably over a year. However, about a year ago was when we started messing around, like just every once in a while going on Biden's Facebook page and just seeing what people were saying. It's a joke. It is a complete and total joke. It is catastrophe. Absolute catastrophe. And now it can only be worse. So you're welcome. That's a little tip. Next. Oh, it's hilarious. It's hilarious. You need that. Believe me, before you go to bed tonight, laugh yourself to sleep. People come up with some crazy, genius burns, genius. But it's not for the faint of heart, I'll just tell you. It's not for the faint of heart, but you'll laugh. All right, so people forget this. We have to remind you. Let's get this going. I want you to hear it. So here's all loud.
I'm going to talk today about energy. I'm going to talk today about energy and climate. And that might seem a bit surprising because my full-time work at the foundation is mostly about vaccines and seeds, about the things that we need to invent and deliver to help the poorest 2 billion live better lives. But energy and climate are extremely important to these people. In fact, more important than to anyone else on the planet. The climate getting worse means that many years their crops won't grow. There'll be too much rain, not enough rain. Things will change in ways that their fragile environment simply can't support. And that leads to starvation, it leads to uncertainty, it leads to unrest. So the climate changes will be terrible for them. We need to meet a new constraint, and that constraint has to do with CO2. CO2 is warming the planet, and the equation on CO2 is actually a very straightforward one. If you sum up the CO2 that gets emitted, that leads to a temperature increase. And that temperature increase leads to some very negative effects. The effects on the weather, perhaps worse, the indirect effects in that the natural ecosystems can't adjust to these rapid changes, and so you get ecosystem collapses. This equation has 4 factors, a little bit of multiplication. So you've got a thing on the left, CO2, that you want to get to 0, and that's going to be based on the number of people, the services each person's using on average, the energy on average for each service, and the CO2 being put out per unit of energy. So let's look at each one of these and see how we can get this down to 0. Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to 0. That's back from high school algebra, but let's take a look. First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, health care, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%. But there we see an increase of about 1.3.
Yeah, but he misspoke. He meant this, he meant that. Yeah, but he said the same exact thing with Sanjay Gupta, and then later on he said the same exact thing with Anderson Cooper. They have to tell you the truth before they lie to you. It's a universal, God-ordained law, because how would you ever know a lie unless you first heard the truth? You wouldn't have a crooked line to compare the straight line to. You wouldn't know the line was crooked unless you had a straight line first. Does that make sense? You have to, the truth has to come before the lie, which is why they publish the side effects. That's why they publish the vaccine contents. That's why I have their literature in my office. They have to put it out there, and they just wait for you to not pay attention. So few problems with that. I have to re-show this to people so that they get this. So many people don't even know this is real. They don't even know it's out there. Here's the deal. CO2. What is CO2? Carbon dioxide. If you get rid of carbon dioxide, what else do you get rid of? Everything. 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 They're a death cult. I told you. These people drink blood and worship demons. That's right there, telling you. You're giving off CO2. What takes in the CO2? The plants. What do the plants give off? Oxygen. You see how God designed that? They are trying to break the original order of creation designed by the Creator himself. The CO2 is not causing global warming is a lie. Global warming is a lie. They are telling you that you're the problem. We have to get rid of the people, right? Because you're overpopulating everything. You lousy people. Why? Why do they say that? Because they don't believe they're humans. They believe they're more highly evolved than you. They're never going to tell you that. But that's the problem number one, CO2. You get rid of that, you get rid of everything green. You get rid of everything green, everything dies. Now you know where they're going. Now you know what he did, what he is, and what he does. Why would he go into vaccines and seeds? Think about it. He's got all the money in the world. Couldn't he dig water wells in every African village? Couldn't he buy farmland and just say, farm it? It's unending food. He's got so many resources. I'm not griping about rich people. I'm griping about demon worshipers. That's what I'm saying. He could teach people. He could show the entire world. He could show, if he cared about Africa, he could show all these kids, give them clean water and fresh food. And guess what? You don't need the vaccines and the drugs. He doesn't do that. You will know them by their fruits. Notice Jesus said, he didn't say you will know them by what they say, because they can lie. Let that sink in. Really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, and reproductive health services. So all that stuff I was telling you about earlier, they're doing a real good job on healthcare. They are doing a real good job on new vaccines, right? This was back in what, 04, 06? This was 10, 15 years ago. And they're doing a heck of a job on reproductive health services. What's another word for reproductive health services? Say it louder. Abortion. So with new vaccines, healthcare, and abortion, they're going to lower the population. Let that sink in. You can't make that crap up. Okay, now check this out. So what they let slip, like I said, they have to tell you the truth, right? So a little while ago, Texas banned abortion, and the Satanists sued for religious right to ritual abortions. The Satanic Temple of Texas files suit to defend its religious right to child sacrifice. Scroll down. They admit that it's a ritual. The past week, while the nation was distracted by Biden's dementia-ridden incompetence and Andrew Cuomo's predatory misogyny, which is hatred of women, the Satanic Temple of Texas filed suit to defend its religious right to engage in child sacrifice as a what? Spiritual ritual. They're admitting to you that sacrificing babies is a spiritual ritual. How do I know? Just go get your blood taken at a lab. Tell me, they only need a couple drops to figure out all your complete metabolic profile and all that, but they take 5 or 6 vials. What happens to those 5 or 6 vials? It's hard to comprehend, isn't it? Just let that sink in. The Dallas Observer reports as follows. The Satanic Temple of Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston filed a lawsuit against the state of Texas alleging certain state-mandated abortion regulations violate the religious liberty of its members and violate the temple's religious teachings. The Satanic Temple wants its followers to be exempt from such regulations. The temple has members across the country, including in Texas. It's legal to get an abortion in Texas, clarifies the Observer, but the procedure is banned after 20 weeks unless a life-threatening medical condition is involved for the or the fetus has a severe abnormality, less than 0.0001. If a person is eligible, the state requires them to get a sonogram and receive paperwork about medical risks, adoption alternatives, developmental stages of the fetus. Hang on, this is getting better. The state then requires a woman to wait 24 hours after receiving the sonogram and paperwork before she can go through with the procedure. So the Observer, the paper, continues. But the temple's members consider abortion a ritualistic practice. According to co-founder and spokesman, blah, blah, blah. We have a distinct kind of procedure for this, said Mr. Greaves. Well, go back up. What was it? What was his name? Lucian? Lucian. Another spokesman, co-founder and spokesman, Lucian Greaves. Hold on. What does this say? Who maintains the state regulations disrupt his ritual. Now, okay, so go on up. Apple advertisements in the middle of the page. So Mr. Greaves, Lucifer Graves, basically, says, we have a distinct kind of procedure, and in no part of this do we include getting sonograms or any other medically unnecessary acts as are required in Texas. So they're eschewing medical procedures for satanic rituals. See what I mean? And so why can't Christians just say, I don't want that crap in my veins, right? Therefore, the imposition of those things we feel is a violation of our religious liberty. So Mr. Lucifer Graves goes further. The ritual goes like this. Here it is. Here's the ritual. You've been waiting for decades to figure this out. Here it is. Before the abortion takes place, a member of the Satanic Temple will look at her reflection, be reminded of her personhood and responsibility to herself. Take deep breaths, focus on her intent, and make herself comfortable. When ready, she will say the 3rd and 5th tenet of the temple aloud. This is their ritual. What's the 3rd and 5th tenet? Let's check it out. So notice she makes herself comfortable, but not the baby, right?
I don't think that's on there.
Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Yep. So click the thing. Click the thing. Yep. Yeah, it's here. The Satanic 3rd tenet reads, one's body is inviolable, subject to one's own will. And the 5th reads, beliefs should conform to one's best scientific understanding of the world. One should take care never to distort scientific facts to fit one's beliefs.
Wow.
But if you're a dude and you got a penis, you can say you're a woman, and they'll be perfectly okay with it. After the abortion, the woman should would return to her reflection and cite her personal affirmation, by my body, my blood, by my will it is done. The observer offers this context for the satanic suit. In the Texas suit, an anonymous pregnant temple member has claimed that state regulations interfere with her religious ceremony and raise constitutional suspicions. The member lives 100 miles away from the nearest abortion clinic, the suit claims. It asks the state to consider 4 abortion regulations through the lens of religious liberty, blah, blah, blah. But notice this. What kind of people run abortion clinics? Doctors, nurses, death cult members. Sorry, it sucks, I know. Okay, let's go to the next one, because I wanted you to see the prayer and how they speak about bodily autonomy. So don't you ever lay down and roll over for this satanic nonsense. Let's check this one out. I just want you to look at the look at the title, and notice here the address. It's an MSN website. Microsoft Network website. Satanic Temple is legally challenging Texas abortion law and fighting for our reproductive freedom. See how they say it in the headline? It's not biased at all. Not biased. Fighting for reproductive freedom. And they have the picture of Baphomet, and the burden is undue. It's horrible. Look at this. We live in a complete and total shit show. People can't, look at this crap. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Satanic Temple challenging Texas abortion law, and they're parading it, right? And you're telling me that the hospitals aren't temples, and the doctors in white coats aren't performing rituals, and that they're not the new high priests of the ruling class? Unbelievable. Makes me crazy. Why aren't churches teaching this? Good question. I don't know. I really don't. Here's another one. I just want to show you this. This video here, short video. I think this will blow your mind. Yeah, when Jonathan gets this up and going. Want to know what's really in it? Check this out. You'll not see this on the internet. Jonathan's back there scheduling his vaccine appointment.
This is where I got the shot, the second shot. Look at this. It's glowing. Now I go down my arm and it gets worse. I have a little dot here, but the worst part, look at the vein in my hand. It glows. That is sick. Why is this doing this? Can someone tell me? Look at that. Look at that. It's glowing. And that's exactly where I got the shot. And now my hand in my vein is glowing. Why the hell is this doing this? What the hell is in this?
This is the chemical that you're not being told about. SM-102 is what it's called. Ionizable aminolipid that has been used in combination with other lipids in the formation of lipid nanoparticles. Administration of luciferase. So when people receive a mark on their right hand or their forehead, it's the mark of the beast, or the name, or the beast's name, or the number of his name, or his name, the number of his name. It's got the name. It's got the right patents. It's got the right House resolution bills. It all fits. You think they're doing this accidentally? Wake up. If you don't believe the Bible, wake up. Administration of luciferase mRNA and SM-102 containing lipid nanoparticles includes hepatic luciferase expression in mice. Formulations containing SM-102 have been used in the development of lipid nanoparticles for delivery of mRNA-based vaccines. You put it in cars, trucks, vans, RVs, vaccines. All the clues are there for people who have eyes to see, ears to hear. We don't even argue with people. They want the shot, go get the shot. Great. You ain't walking in this door. Go get the shot. So here is the last part, but what you can see, that's not the only video of people. You can see people. It was hard to see the back of his hand because he had a full sleeve tattoo on the back of his hand. I don't know if you could see that. The lighting in here was a little funky. But right here glowed under his skin, and right here, it was one vein that went across his hand right here that just lit up like your Christmas tree. This is not the only video. You can see other videos, not just of people with magnets sticking to their bodies, which is weird, but you can see hands of women, and all the veins in their hands show up. There is temperature differentiation between the left side and the right side of the body because the heart's a little to the left over here, so this hand is going to be a little cooler. Can they program this stuff to self-assemble at the right frequency of radiation? And can it seek out the coolest parts in the body? According to 2,000 years of biblical scripture, yes. They've already got the technology. They can make that thing go wherever they want. But the temperature is what's going to differentiate where it self-assembles while you're sleeping. After you got booster 1, booster 2, booster 3, who knows however many it's going to take. On top of whatever drugs you're on, whatever kind of crap you're eating, whatever kind of fluoride in the water, who knows how the stuff all self-assembles and comes together in your body. We're just trying to wake you up. Now, right here, I'm going to read this. This is why we're in this mess. Because there are biblically illiterate retards out there who cannot represent what is said in the Bible. Would Jesus wear a mask? Biblically illiterate. I hate to say that, but now I don't have anything against this guy. Pastor John Leastock, Bethel Lutheran Church. This probably floated around a long time. I don't know where the Star Observer is. A patient sent this to me. I about came unglued. I couldn't believe what I was reading. I'll just read it through to you. I will have no reaction, but I will just read it through to you and I'll tell you what the problems are. I'll ask you what the problems are, and then we'll make a list. Here we go. These are crazy times we're living in. As if we don't have enough division in the world already, now we seem to have a controversy over whether or not to wear a face mask when in public. Some object to it because they think it makes them look foolish. Others see it as an inconvenience or a violation of their rights. Others cite some of our leaders aren't setting the needed example. Still others claim face masks don't protect anyone or that the whole COVID-19 crisis is a hoax. We are a sadly divided people. Yet the facts are our health professionals, locally, regionally, and nationally, urge us to wear a mask when we are in a public setting. Why? Because even though restaurants, bars, stores are opening up, the COVID-19 virus hasn't gone away. As I write this article today, confirmed cases of the virus have spiked in 20 states. We're currently seeing one new confirmed case in his county each day, and our numbers have doubled over the past month. Nationally, over 125,000 people have now lost their lives to this disease. So, can I ask you, if Jesus were walking our streets today, do you think he would wear a mask in public? Why or why not? How do you think Jesus would suggest we best love our neighbor? Would Jesus be concerned about being uncomfortable or inconvenienced? Would his concern be with his vanity and appearance? Would you see Jesus arguing over his civil rights? Would he insult or make fun of those who were frightened for their lives? Or would Jesus discount the counsel of medical experts? Think of it, friends. The Jesus we preach was willing to experience humiliation, suffering, and death to save the people he loved. That part's true. It seems to me, if Jesus would die on a cross, opinion. I can't even read this without, opinion. It seems to me if Jesus would die on a cross for us, he would wear a mask for us. He would do everything in his power to protect our well-being and show his care in practical ways, like wearing a mask. Christians should be leading the way in loving our neighbors and caring for the vulnerable. That is not just Jesus' job, it's your job and mine too. What troubles me most in seeing people in public places without masks is sensing that our convenience now overshadows our caring. Liberty has become more important to some than love. Can't have one without the other, can you? And we've lost a sense of common courtesy and respect for those around us. Wearing a mask is not the only way to show our faith and our values, but it is one of the ways. As a pastor in this community of faith, I hope and pray this crisis will bring out the best in those of us who claim to follow Jesus. I also hope you'll be a living example of Christ's love, care, concern, compassion, and respect for those around you. Please, when you're in a public setting, think about the good of others. Jesus does. Put on your mask. What do you guys think of that? How many of you raise your hand if you think this dude's right? Raise your hand if you think this is the most asinine thing you've ever read in your life. What's the major problem?
Lepers is
That's a good one. Lepers. Yes, Jonathan. Lepers. Yep. What's the big problem, though? What's the biggest problem? I mean, when somebody brought this to me, I immediately scanned it. I read who it is. Okay, I'm looking for one thing in this whole article. What's the one thing I'm looking for that I never found? Not one scripture. Not one biblical scripture from a pastor. Only opinion, 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 opinion. Not a scripture. The biblical illiteracy that is then not only retarding the growth of others, but giving them the wrong idea. That is what is sickening to me. So you hear people, you hear churches. Churches are split. You've got the masked section over here. You've got the unmasked section over here in some churches. Other churches are like, nope, we're not doing anything until the CDC says so. Well, my problem with that, I looked at this and I sat down and I thought, I have to share this with people. This is unbelievable. I have to share this with people. Problems with this. The biggest one is the first thing I'm looking for is what scripture does he cite? What scripture does he cite? He doesn't. Another problem. No mention of any censored healthcare providers or media corruption. He just says all the stats here, and by quoting this, he's quoting who? The CDC and the World Health Organization, who are known, criminal, demon-worshiping, absolute pagans. That's the problem. He's quoting, basically, this would be like Paul quoting the Roman government. Right? Only this guy ain't Paul. The other problem, no mention of closed churches, no mention of government tyranny. Was he paid to write this? That's the next thing. That's the next thing that I'm thinking. So that millions of Christians, millions of nursing homes, millions of people will just wear the mask. You should read this article. Makes me sick. Makes me want to puke. The CDC, it is a religion. It is a religion. And CDC numbers are cited as facts, right? But he's quoting atheistic evolutionists who are using money as a motivation to poison your blood supply. That's messed up. He uses opinion rather than fact, and I counted at least 5 different places. There's no mention of the biblical importance, here's the other thing, of words, of your mouth, of your nostrils, or of speaking at all. God spoke, we're commanded to do the same. How do you get saved? Confession of the mouth, right? Yeah, the power of the tongue. The power of the written and spoken words. How do you do anything? Prayer. That's why it's not supposed to be silent. People, oh yeah, I'm just having a moment of silence. No, you're not. You're not doing squat. Prayer. Prayer is supposed to be verbal. God breathed the breath of life into Adam through what? What part of his face? Mouth, nostrils, mouth, right here. So the devil, if my job description was the devil, what place in the body would I cover up? Hello. And why else? So communication is hindered. So your identification is hindered. Your ID, your health, your expression is all hindered. You ever try to talk to somebody with a mask on? Do you enjoy it? Patriarchs, Joseph, Daniel, every apostle spoke out publicly against corruption in religion and politics. So Paul said, should we obey God or should we obey man? Who's this dude obeying? Man. When he says, how do you think Jesus would suggest, would Jesus be concerned about being uncomfortable or inconvenienced? He was always uncomfortable and inconvenienced, wasn't he? You lost me, bro. You lost me. Would you see Jesus arguing over his civil rights? Would he insult or make fun of those who were frightened? I seem to remember him going after the religious hypocrites and saying, you whitewashed tombs full of dead men's bones, you vipers, you hypocrites, you sons of the devil. So I'm going to do something that this guy doesn't do. I'm actually going to read my Bible because he obviously does not. So Jesus touched and healed lepers. Yes, we're commanded to do the same. Thank you, Jonathan. Jonathan's back there healing lepers if you guys need him. The entire Bible preaches faith over fear. Right here we have a problem because he's preaching fear over faith, right? Not one reference, not one quote, not one scripture, not one footnote, nothing in the entire article, yet this was seen by hundreds, I'm sure, hundreds of millions of people, by a pastor. And the other thing he left out, the guy didn't even mention Romans 13. I thought for sure he would at least mention Romans 13, that we should bow down to government, right? The government can do no wrong. Anyway, so And the other thing is, just think about it. Find me a biblical chapter and verse that says anything about any of this. Find me one. I want biblical scripture about believing any of these people who continue to lie for money while they're serving another master. So that made me sick. I had to share that. And that is why some of our churches, some of our families, some of this right here, that's why it's all falling apart. They knew this was going to happen. So one commercial break, and then I'm going to give you some 10 practical action steps to take with you home and to get back to your families. Lauren, come on up. Yay.
Okay, so this patient has been here for about 3 months. Got a cold, and this is just a testimonial of a quick recovery. The patient said, I had a severe cold, which caused fatigue, coughing, and a stuffy and runny nose. I took supplements for 24 hours and had more energy, less coughing, and almost all of my stuffy nose was gone. I mean, that's pretty amazing to recover from a cold, in 24 hours. Normally, it's like a week for most people. So
in the middle of a scamdemic.
Right.
Can you imagine that? Crazy. All right. Practical action. Oh, no. Let's mean what we say and say what we mean. God bless Australia. They're in hell right now. I mean, what's going on in Australia is truly, there are COVID camps and they're gassing people. They're getting ready to start gassing people. It's the same spirit that was here 90 years ago. Waiting in line to get the 36th booster to stop the 64th variant that comes with the 20th wave. Stand up. Stand up. You said 2 doses. Every 6 months, forever. This right here is hilarious. Well, that escalated at a predictable rate with a lot of forewarning. Sure did. I'll tell you what. Mom, what's hypocrisy? Claiming that healthcare is a basic human right while saying the unvaccinated should be denied healthcare. I love that one. Can't even laugh at that. It's too much. It's too much. Change these rocks into bread. We know you're hungry. So what is that? Mutate. Change God's order into something for your own need. Let's mutate things, right? Yeah. And then throw yourself off, and the angels of God will uphold you. Well, we've got a new technology that will save you, right? And, if you just bow down, if you just do this and do that, just become a little less you and a little more me. See, it's always been the same pattern. It's always been the same lie. It's always been the same crap. And we're still falling for it. So practical action steps. What do we do? Stand up. Stop being a pansy. Put on your big girl britches. Let's rock. Yeah, Jane, stand up. Show everybody how to stand up. There. Because you are never going to comply your way out of this. No compliance will be enough. They will keep coming and coming. The 24th booster shot of the 16th wave of the 97th variant. It will never stop. They've got a whole entire Greek alphabet of alpha, beta, gamma, delta, mu, all the way up through omega. They will never stop if you do not wake yourself and other people up to this. No mask, no vaccine, no boosters. You know what? If you're going to, here's a thing that might save your butt. Write no mask, no vaccines, no boosters, whatever. If you're getting a new job, write it right into the contract. Say from day one, here's the deal. I'm straight up, you're straight up. I'm going to write this into my contract. I will never wear a mask. I will never do a vaccine. I will never do a booster. Do we have an agreement? Boom. That might save your butt. Do it. Tell people, if they're looking for a new job, put it in the contract so they can't go back on it because they will lie. Ask federal employees if their employer lied to them. No amount of compliance will ever suffice. And remember, hold on, I had you write it down. What day are we on of 14 days to slow the spread? 545. 545 days, 1.5 years to the day. Today's September 13th. It dropped Friday, March 13th last year. That's when everything pretty much got started. Cowards are the first in line at the lake of fire. Remember, all the stuff they list, like all the people who are lined up at the lake of fire, who's the first in line? Read that scripture when you go home. Cowards. Say your prayers. It's always been the same deal. Say your prayers, eat your veggies. It's always, Hulk Hogan was right. He was right. Say your prayers, eat your veggies. But say your prayers means you will pick a side. All of your family members. They will pick a side. They will be forced to pick a side, or they can do it now by choice, or they'll do it later by force. But you will be forced to pick a side. When you do not make a decision to pick a side, you have made a decision not to make a decision. Got that? Yeah. By being indecisive, you've decided that you're not going to make a decision. So in not making a decision, you've made a decision to not make a decision. It just keeps going. Stupid logic. It just keeps going. You cannot honestly deny the prophetic connection between what we just talked about and the future of humanity. You can't deny it. See us after if you want to have the peace of God that surpasses all understanding, so that you're not afraid during this nonsense. If you don't have God in your heart, if you do not know the Holy Spirit, you will be afraid. You will be afraid of this. I'm not. I really am not. Nothing really has changed for us. We're doing the same exact thing that God told us to do for years, and we're helping more people now than ever. Get on board. Well, like with Lauren. Lauren, she had a different job. She was looking for something. Guess what? We were looking for people that wanted to be here. So you're in a good spot, yeah? Oh, yeah. We're glad you're here. So eat your veggies. Number 3. I mean, I know some of these sound stupid, but they're real. Eat your veggies. You know what is the first thing that goes at the grocery store in the middle of a scamdemic? Processed food, crap food, Little Debbie, crap that will make you sick in a pandemic, crap that will make you sick if you eat it. So eat your veggies. Now is not the time to become sick. This little story that I read you here, now is not the time to go to the emergency room because you can't breathe. Get on board. Get on board. Get on board. Did you guys see the Biden chants at the football games? Oh my God, I couldn't believe it. Oh, Eric, your dad told us about that the other day, and we looked it up, and I was, oh my gosh, hilarious. So now's not the time to get sick. Stop paying unethical companies a lot of money to poison you. Hospitals are now murder factories. Processed foods are the first to disappear. Here's the deal. Your shelf life goes down when your food does not have one. So if you eat crap food in the middle of a scamdemic, whether it's a real scamdemic or a fake scamdemic, you eat crap food and your chance of getting sick goes up. Eat good food. Have protein and have collagen and have other things, some high profile good stuff in your pantry. Drop the money and do it. Have stuff backed up in your pantry. Number 4, get on board. If you are not healthy right now, you know what? You got time. Get healthy. Give us 90 days. See what happens in 90 days. Who else been here as a patient? Boom.
I'm going to be.
And you're going to be, yeah. Everybody in this room has gotten massive results in 90 days. You know why? Because we go exactly opposite to everything you've heard in healthcare, medicine, and drugging. Exactly opposite. And we get results in 90 days instead of making you sick for 20 more years, right? So get on board. You can become a powerfully educated, force to be reckoned with, a proactive patient. You can be independent of all this medical black magic, witchcraft, sorcery crap, and you can gain access to the most cutting-edge healthcare that you likely will ever see in this world. Study truth with community. You know what? We've got a good, group of people around here who are learning, and we are regularly teaching others about natural health, whether it's food, air, water, meds, vaccines, detox. We teach people about business, essential oils. We teach them about young living. We teach them about cryptocurrency, how to unbank yourself, get your money out of the banks before they take it. Be in control of your own money. Prep yourself for the collapse of the dollar. All the other preparation stuff we can help, we can teach you. There's other classes coming in the future, not just about health. I'm just going to leave that little nugget. Cryptocurrency, prepping, stuff like that. Number 6, shut off your distractions. Facebook, really? I've gotten so much more done since I killed Facebook. Oh my gosh, it's unbelievable. Facebook and Devil Vision do not help you. Movies and newspapers do likewise. Start something. Get off your grid. Get off of the internet. Or not the internet, but get off the. If you have a government job, or if you are on the dole of Medicare or Medicaid, you see where this is going with Sleepy Joe at the helm, right? Start doing something to build yourself a second income. Start doing something. Just hop on something, some internet thing to sell some things. Get rid of all the crap in your garage. Do something. Move. Produce something. Do something very, very important to improving the life of yourself and your family and your people around you. Shut off distractions. Read a book. You know what? Read a book. Read a book on how to grow something or how to do something that you've never done before. Now's the time to do it. You got time. Minimize dependence on big tech, big pharma. When the pharmacies shut down, or when the medical people say, we'll write you a prescription for this, but then you take it to the pharmacy and the pharmacy won't fill it, guess what? All of their writing of prescriptions are being monitored. They always have been. That's how a drug rep can go to a doctor and say, hey, we noticed that you're not writing any more prescriptions for this drug. What is the deal? It's all monitored. So if they're writing prescriptions for you now for ivermectin or HCQ or whatever, that might come to an end. But know this, if the pharmacist won't fill the prescription that the doctor wrote for you, you're hosed. So get off of big pharma and big tech dependence on those. How do you do that? Well, a couple ways. Use DuckDuckGo. Get away from Google. If you've got Google on your phone, which you all do, change it over to DuckDuckGo. If you need help with how to do that, ask one of us. DuckDuckGo does not trace you. It doesn't track you. It doesn't finish your sentence for you. It doesn't give you fake crap that steers you down a rabbit hole, because you can't find good information anymore on Google. You can't find truthful information. You just find what they want you to see. Another thing you can do is use a VPN, virtual private network. Depends on the type you want. Could be $5 a year, could be $5 a month, who knows? But it depends on what you need. But a virtual private network is a way to search the internet without, like all the stuff I search for here. Do I want Google or anybody knowing that I'm searching for satanic abortion ritual? No. Do I want to, Bill Gates depopulation video? Do I want anybody knowing that I'm searching for that? No. So I use a VPN. And you can use a VPN on DuckDuckGo and be doubly doubled up to access all the internet stuff. So ditch your drugs as soon as possible, ditch your doctors, ditch your prescriptions, ditch your HCQ and your ivermectin crap, because they surely know the prescription record is easily attainable by pharma and government organizations. So just be careful and get off the dole of that. Don't fall for the traps. Fake vaccine cards and exemption letters are going away quickly. Just know that. Get off government assistance and healthcare as soon as possible. We already talked about doctors writing prescriptions. Number 9, have those uncomfortable conversations. You know what I'm talking about. Right now, you got somebody in your mind where you're like, I wish they wouldn't have gotten that vaccine, or I hope that maybe they don't get that 2nd, 3rd, 5th, 9th booster. Talk to those people. Try. I know. They're indoctrinated, vaccinated, medicated, glyphosated. I know. But if you would have had these uncomfortable conversations maybe months ago or a year ago, maybe they wouldn't have gotten vaccinated. Because here's the deal. Are you prepared to take care of them once they fall victim to something bad? I don't want to cast that on anybody, but you can either be uncomfortable taking care of them in the future, or you can be uncomfortable right now when they can still talk, right? So let them know. Would Jesus really wear a mask? No, not at all. There's always been a conspiracy. It's no longer. Have those uncomfortable conversations. Well, they're just going to think I'm a conspiracy theorist. Good, they should. It is a conspiracy. There's always been a conspiracy. It's no longer a theory. So awaken others. Your life may depend on it, because you never know what's going to happen. And then number 10 right here, prepare food, prepare water, prepare communications, precious metals, get your lead and copper, if you know what I mean. That's a little joke. Not gold and silver, lead and copper. And emergency supply. Nobody got my joke. Anybody get my joke? No, I didn't. You got my joke? Okay. But lead and copper and emergency supplies. Spend the money and be ready. Spend the money and be ready. Any questions? That's it. Jane, microphone. Yes, so that we can hear you on the. We'll answer a couple quick questions and we're out of here. Yes, Jane.
So, family members or friends who have gotten the jab, how do you proceed? I mean, it's just.
Every family's different. I have no idea. Yeah. Every family's different.
I mean, it's just, sorry, you've already done it. I mean, what hope?
It depends.
What hope can you offer them?
Well, it depends if they're even willing to listen to something like this. I mean, some people are good, Bible-following people who just believe the authorities. Other people are they don't want to hear any of this. So I don't know. It depends on where they're at in their lives.
What can you do? What good can we do if they already have stepped off the cliff?
Depends on if they want help. They may not want help. They may not believe a word of what we just talked about for an hour and a half, 2 hours. They may not believe that there's a conspiracy with bad people who are trying to kill good people. They may not believe that these people think they're gods who want to depopulate the earth. If they don't believe that, then it's difficult.
There's no reversals that we know of as of yet.
Reversals of like the vaccine.
Yeah.
Everybody has their ideas. Everybody has their protocols, and a lot of medical physicians of this type of bath and that type of this and that. So far, nobody knows for sure how to remove some of this stuff. The graphene oxide and the SM102 and the nanoparticles. Nobody really knows. A lot of people are doing what they think they can do. Nobody really knows. And honestly, we have one person out of, I don't know, our patient load right now, 2, 3, 4, 500 people. One has got the shot, you know. So even we have limited experience with it. It's in your blood. There's no getting it out. It's in your bone marrow. You know, once it goes in, there's no getting it out. Not fully. And if you have a baby, God knows, you know. If you're pregnant at the time, who knows? But to my knowledge, yeah, there's a lot of protocols out there on how to help out with, COVID. There's a lot of COVID protocols. I hate that word. But people who use protocols, and then there's even protocols out there that talk about, how to help your body with the graphene oxide and with all the contents. But really, who knows? We don't know yet. I have no idea, honestly. Yes.
Okay, so this one's from Facebook. She said, I heard a naturopath say that since the shots are patented, that people who get it can become a form of cryptocurrency. Is there truth to that?
There's a patent it's a Microsoft patent. You can't make this up. It's patent number, there's a couple letters at the beginning of it, but it's patent 060606. And it was a Microsoft patent that somehow used the nanotechnology and the implanted technology from this vaccine. The idea, it's not this vaccine, but the idea is that the 060606 patent is an injection that will then allow the body to be tied to the blockchain so that your cellular processes will create or mine cryptocurrency. So that your body basically will be tied to your bank account. So there is truth in that. That's a patent. It's not this shot, though, to my knowledge. That's not my. So what was the actual question? Is there truth in that?
Is there truth to that?
That is out there. Yes. Yeah, and you can look this up. You can just go to DuckDuckGo and type in Microsoft patent 060606. I mean, they're not hiding it. You think these people don't know the Bible? The devil knows every word of the Bible. That's how he misquotes it to people.
I also think that goes along with the whole buy, sell, and trade thing in the future.
Absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, if you don't believe that scripture, that those who, and he made all great and small, rich and poor to receive the mark on the right hand or the forehead, that you will not be able to buy or sell or trade without it. Absolutely. So interesting that somebody 2,000 years ago, exiled to a little island off the coast of Greece, would have a major revelation of this, write it down in the form of a massive book called the Book of Revelation, and then all of these things becoming true. Try that with your Hinduism or your Bhagavad Gita or your Quran or your Islam, or try that with anything else. It's not going to happen. So there is truth in that it will be tied to. You're already seeing it with the bank thing we talked about today. You're already seeing what happened last year when all this crap dropped. What happened to the banks? Remember? You couldn't go into the lobby. I know my bank shut down the ATMs. That was the last straw. That was it. Crypto, boom, I'm getting out of here. You can't control this. So I'd say I'm about 90% out of the banks. Most of everything I own is 90% out of the banks, I would say. Keep a little bit here just to keep payroll going. And if we can figure out a way to get past that, we'll do it. But the biggest thing with these patents is they're right there, and they were months, sometimes years ahead of time. So yes, that is in the works, and it is coming. We're already, there's the first patent about it right there, and you can see that for yourself on the internet. You can look. I forget the name of the actual, it was Microsoft. Just type in patent 060606. It's all over. Just like HR 666 and HR 6666. There's symbology in everything. So very, very, very important. Any other questions? Very interesting stuff. And it's coming. It's coming. You couldn't really see the luciferase in the guy's vein. You could see it. I couldn't see it very much because of the way the lights were shining. But had anyone seen that before?
No, but I've heard the magnetic ones. The
Yeah.
girl kept laughing and
Yeah.
saying, "Oh, isn't this cool?" Until
Yeah.
she couldn't walk anymore.
Right. Oh yeah. Yep. I've seen those. So yeah, it's interesting because months ago when people with the magnet thing that happened, people thought that was a farce, and then a lot of other independent people started doing it on the sidewalks, and then it became very apparent that there was people that were magnetic all of a sudden. And some people were like, "Oh, great! I have a government tracking device in me," and they were happy about it. They were kind of sarcastic about it, and other people were visibly disturbed and shaken by it. Like, what have I done? What is this? Well, now take it one step further, and now months later, and here we have people with glowing veins. Some of the stuff, it looks like cyborgs. It looks like right out of
Sci-fi movie.
It looks like right out of a sci-fi movie. It's crazy. So just know that this is the stuff on the horizon. These patents and things, like Lauren just read, this 060606 deal. I mean, they're light years. They're decades ahead. They're decades ahead. And most people don't even know that there's a conspiracy. Most people don't even know that there's bad guys running the stuff, let alone how far ahead they are technologically from anything we ever thought about years ago. We've always kind of hypothesized about this, how it's going to happen. Well, we just leapt forward like 100 years on the biblical prophecy timeline just within the last year. It's crazy. Questions, comments, thoughts?
There's also something about
Microphone. Yes.
There was something that was said about the patents on these, and that if you get it injected, that they have some ownership in you. Becoming transhuman is something that you belong to them because they have that patent.
Oh yeah. There is some truth to that, because if you patent a seed, you can't patent a seed that's not genetically modified. So if you do take this in you, believe me, farther down the road, they're going to pull the curtain back and go, "Ha ha, we own you now." Because now there's...
that was years ago before this.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like, that was a judgment made in court.
Yeah. Yeah.
2013 Supreme Court case.
2013 Supreme Court case. Yeah, because we're genetically modifying babies now. So whose property are the babies? And that's been going on for a long time. Same thing goes with when you accept a genetic modification into your body. And I mean, don't think it's just the vaccines that are genetically modifying you. They've been doing it with the glyphosate, the fluoride. They've been doing it with the food, the air, the water. But this is overtly out in the open modifying things in the human body. So they've been doing it for a long time in micro scale with all the chemicals and the chemical lobotomies and the slathering on the lotions and the potions and the thrills and the pills and all that stuff. But now it's like right into your bloodstream. Before you've had,
Takes a while.
it took a while, but now it's right into your bloodstream. There's no barriers to it. So yes, could they come back years later, pull up the curtain and say, "Ha, we own you now because here's our patent. Here's a sample of your blood," or we wave a black light over you and we see that your patented blood is in your veins. Our patented blood is in your veins, so you're officially ours. Come with us. Could they do that? I mean, technically, they've done it. Yeah, technically. It's messed up. So the sickest part of all of this is the fact that churches are bowing down and not recognizing it for what it is. That's the sickest part of all of it. And that's what completely disturbed me about this from day one. And it started, what was that, Easter? Everybody said, "Oh yeah, let's just bow down let's just shut stuff down for a couple weeks. It'll be fine." While they released a Microsoft Marina Abramovich commercial on Easter that had such backlash that they had to take it off with the spirit cooking lady. Probably don't know about that. We won't go there. Yeah, sick stuff. While all the churches were shut down, they were worshiping Satan on national TV with a Microsoft commercial of a demon worshiping witch. Yeah, interesting. So open your eyes, have eyes to see and ears to hear. Pray that God opens your discernment. Pray that God opens the discernment of other people in your life around you, because this is really crazy. We talk to a lot of people who they're the only one at their job site that's not vaccinated. It's sad. It's really, really sad. But they're standing their ground. Trust me on this. God will find you another job where you will be honored for standing your ground. I've seen it happen. We haven't just seen people getting crushed and fired. We've seen people moving jobs and they get blessed and they get better pay and they get a better environment. So, don't give up. Stand up. All right. Next week, we're doing a movie night. Can't tell you what it is. It's going to be a surprise, but you'll love it, and it won't be anything that you'll see anywhere else. So, Dr. Brett Spradlin, Divine Design Natural Health, signing off. We'll see you next week.